So my name's Steve. I go to American Reformed Church out of Orange City. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my personal transformation that I've experienced through this Ritter process. 5 years ago, I did not go to a church. I was done with church. I was tired of the institution, tired of people in the church, tired of Christians. And Mike Hardiman started going to the coffee shop that I ran. And my wife said, hey, he's this new pastor in town, you should think about going to his church. I said, no, I don't want to do that, but I will grill him when he comes in. So I like to harass him about like his theology or his political positions, and he would respond like authentically and vulnerably. And one day he came in and he's like, yeah, I'm done answering your questions. If you want to come to church, cool. Like, if you don't, that's fine. But like, can I just like hang out here? So, all right. So then I went home and I was like, all right, I'll go to church with you. So I went to church, and the very first Sunday, they introduced this program called Kids Hope USA. And it's all about mentoring one student 1 hour a week with one mentor. That's all it is. You know, talk about the Bible, you know, pray with the kid, you go in, you play a game, you remind the kid that they're loved, and you go home. And I started crying in church because I had not seen, I'm a pastor's kid, that's some background, and so I grew up in the church, but I had not seen a church want to be serious about engaging in someone's life that wasn't about a transaction. Hey, how do we get this person to know Jesus? No, we just want this person to experience love. So right away I could tell like, oh, maybe this church is different than what I was expecting it to be. And my wife said, this is your first Sunday, let's not get too involved right away. Later that week, I think, Mike called me and he said, hey, I want to talk to you about being on the Ritter team with us. I was like, oh, okay. So I told my wife, I got to go to this meeting. And Mike explained it to me. And he said, you know, we've asked tons of people and they've all said no. So I'm asking you. And so I knew, you know, he's at the end of his list. And he said, we want to learn how to be a church that doesn't just care about who's sitting in the pews and how much money is in the offering, but how the church is active in the community. And again, like, tears came to my eyes because it wasn't that I didn't love Jesus. It's that I was so exhausted trying to follow Jesus in a way that I found to be lonely and that lacked any kind of impact in the world. So I went home and I said, this is what I've been cynical about for 10 years, so I think I probably should do Ritter. And my wife's like, yeah, you have to. So I did it, I was skeptical, and that's when the transformation started. I'm a pretty angry person, or was a really angry person, prone to outbursts. I had a lot of shame around my belonging. I believed that I didn't belong. And so any sort of like rejection, I considered to be an attack on my belonging. And so my anxiety would go up. And through Ritter, and Ritter introducing me to faith walking, I have developed the tools to manage my own anxiety, to reaffirm what's true about who I am, which is that I belong. One of the other things I've learned is that I'm only responsible for me. So those are two like major things that I've learned in the last 5 years, is that I belong and that I'm only responsible for me. And that's great that I can learn that. But I think what's even more impactful is that when I bring that into my home, that transforms the way I talk to my wife. And that transforms the way I respond to my kids when they're disruptive or they misbehave. Because all that stuff, that's always going to keep happening. The anxiety is always going to be present in every system. And what Ritter does, and Churches Learning Change, and Faith Walking, what all of that does is give us tools to manage ourselves when we're in those systems. And my life has been completely transformed because of that. And I have this group to thank, the Ritter mental model of discipleship. is having a reflective life, having an authentic community, and then being on mission with Christ, or being in alignment with Jesus. And I have found that I don't want to be in alignment with Jesus. I don't want to be on mission in the world unless I'm connected with my authentic community. And I don't really bring anything to my authentic community if I haven't been in reflection. And so that mental model is constantly flowing in my life and in this group that I've been so blessed to be a part of. And now we're getting to see how that impacts like our church and how we move into the future. So I know I went more than 3 minutes because I'm a wordy person and I'm a pastor's kid, so I don't follow rules ever. But there has been literally no transformational experience I have ever had that has convinced me more thoroughly that to follow Jesus is the only way we have a positive impact in the world. So I've been incredibly thankful for every one of you that has been involved in this process, and especially my team who has walked alongside of me and done this work with me. My life would not be the same without this. So thank you.